The warning was carved into the hull of a drifting craft, barely large enough to hold a single body. The warship's computers needed 3 minutes to translate it. "We come in peace. We are not predators to those we call friends. But be warned, we will never be prey to those who choose to be our enemies." On the Vexen Bridge there was a moment of silence. Then came the laughter. It was the laughter of a species that had broken 1,000 worlds, and never once been warned first. And out in the dark, inside the drifting craft, something was listening. At the edge of unexplored space, reality twisted. A small craft dropped silently out of warp. Its sensors had detected the artificial drive signature of an unknown vessel. Following its first contact protocols, the craft had automatically diverted to investigate and awakened its occupant's mind while leaving his body in deep stasis. The craft was a Pathfinder pod belonging to Earth Space Command. Its dark metallic surface reflected neither starlight nor the scanning beams now reaching towards it. Faint symbols glowed around its seamless hull, surrounding a transparent panel through which a single human could be seen. His name was Commander Oba Yemi. Oba was the leader of Pathfinder Cell 7, a 3-person unit of elite explorers trained to survive alone in the most dangerous regions of space. Pathfinders were explorers, diplomats, scientists, reconnaissance specialists, and warriors. Their mission was to discover intelligent civilizations interested in peaceful trade, shared knowledge, and the exchange of technology. They also surveyed lifeless planets suitable for future human settlement. They were trained to offer friendship before suspicion, peace before conflict. But they were also trained to survive when peace was rejected. Earth sent diplomats to friends. It sent pathfinders to the unknown. Oba's body remained motionless inside the pod, preserved in deep physical stasis. His mind was awake. The pod's artificial intelligence had detected the alien drive emissions and transferred him into cognitive wakefulness. His muscles remained dormant, and his eyes stayed closed. But his consciousness was fully connected to the pod's sensors and communication systems. A calm voice spoke directly into his mind. "Commander Yemi, warp exit complete." The artificial intelligence was called Asher. "Distance to the unidentified vessel?" Oba asked silently. 412,000 kilometers. It has detected us and altered course." Classification? Dreadnought-class warship. Preliminary readings indicate multiple energy signatures consistent with offensive systems. "Have they targeted us?" "No." "Begin first contact protocol." "Confirmed." The Pathfinder pod reduced its power output and allowed itself to drift. Its active scanning systems shut down. Exterior lights dimmed. The pod presented itself as passive, harmless, and exposed. To the approaching vessel, it would appear that the small craft had simply emerged from warp and lost power. Oba listened as Asher translated fragments of the aliens' transmissions. "They believe we are salvage," she said. "Do not correct them." "Reason?" "I want to see what they do when they realize that we are fully functional." The alien vessel moved closer. It was enormous compared with Oba's pod, a heavily armored warship covered in weapon emplacements. Its hull carried scars left by previous battles. Asher continued her analysis. Biological readings detected aboard the vessel. Humanoid, reptilian characteristics. Estimated average height, 2.4 meters. Hostile intent? Unconfirmed. Continue observation. A thin black material covered Oba from the neck down. The alien scanners classified it as a protective garment designed to regulate his body during stasis. They failed to recognize it as advanced human armor with built-in weaponry. While inactive, the suit remained soft and flexible. Its protective structure was compressed into a microscopic nanomesh woven through the material. A Pathfinder entering an unknown civilization was not meant to resemble an invading soldier. The suit existed for survival and protection. Radiation, biological contamination, extreme temperatures, physical assault. It would remain passive until a genuine threat was detected. The alien vessel surrounded the pod with scanning beams. "Have they detected that I am mentally conscious?" Oba asked. "No." "Maintain concealment." The aliens spent several minutes examining the pod. Eventually, Asher detected a change in their communication patterns. Translation complete on their side. They understand the warning. Laughter filled the intercepted channels, harsh and guttural, built to carry across battlefields. Oba said nothing. "They believe the message is an empty threat," Asher reported. "Record their response." "Already recording." The alien ship extended a containment field around the pod and began drawing it towards an open hangar. Asher spoke immediately. "Unknown vessel is attempting to take control of the Pathfinder unit. Can we resist?" "Yes." "Any weapons locked onto us?" 7. Oba considered the situation. The aliens had not fired. They might still believe they were recovering abandoned salvage, and they might already consider the pod their property. The distinction mattered. "Do not resist," Oba said. "Allow them to bring us aboard." "Commander, accepting containment will restrict independent movement." "I know." Raising Pathfinder Alert Level 1. A silent notification passed through the pod's quantum communication system. It traveled instantly to Earth Space Command and to the 2 remaining members of Pathfinder Cell 7. Alert Level 1. Pathfinder unit taken aboard unknown vessel. Observation continues. No confirmed hostility. 3 light-years away, Lieutenant Mara Voss received the alert while surveying 2 potentially habitable moons. In a neighboring sector, Sergeant Kieran Holt received it while studying the ruins of an extinct civilization. Neither immediately moved towards Oba. Alert Level 1 did not authorize retrieval. It meant that a Pathfinder's freedom of movement had been restricted, and the rest of the cell should prepare for escalation. Mara suspended her planetary survey. Kieran recalled his remote drones. Both brought their pods to full readiness and began monitoring Asher's continuous feed. No Pathfinder was left without support when threatened. But first contact could not succeed if every uncertain act was answered with force. The alien containment field pulled Oba's pod into the warship. Its hangar doors closed behind him. Asher mapped the interior using the pod's passive sensors. Atmosphere is breathable with minor variation. Gravity is 21% higher than Earth standard. Can the suit compensate? Yes. Language progress? 38% translated. Continue. Dozens of reptilian humanoids entered the hangar. They wore heavy battle armor, even though the area appeared secure. Many carried energy rifles. Others held scanning instruments. None approached the pod without a weapon nearby. They circled it, pointing at the sleeping human and discussing his appearance. Asher translated fragments as her understanding improved. Weak. Soft-skinned. No natural armor. Perhaps a juvenile. One of the aliens struck the transparent panel with the handle of a weapon. Oba felt nothing. The pod recorded everything. A senior officer entered the hangar. His armor was more elaborate than that of the others, and a deep scar ran across one side of his face. He studied the message carved into the pod. "What kind of creature warns the unknown before it has even met them?" he asked. Another officer answered. "One that knows it cannot defend itself." More laughter followed. "Asha," asked Oba. "Status. Language translation at 62%. Species name identified." "Go ahead." "They call themselves the Vexen." "Government?" "Unknown." The senior officer ordered the pod secured. Asha tracked activity through the warship. "Commander, navigation systems are powering for departure." "Destination?" "Not yet available." "Can we leave if necessary?" "The pod can break containment and enter warp. Doing so would expose active capabilities and terminate first contact observation." "Then we stay." The Vexen warship turned away from the contact location. Its engines activated. Stars stretched across the pod's external sensors as the vessel entered hyperspace. Asha spoke. "The Vexen are transporting us away from the original contact point without communication or consent." "Raise the alert." Pathfinder Alert Level 2 initiated. A second notification reached Earth Command, Mara and Kieran. Alert Level 2. Pathfinder personnel being transported to an unknown destination. Cell support to converge outside contact region. Intervention not authorized. Mara and Kieran immediately entered warp. They did not follow the Vexen vessel directly. Asha's signal revealed its general course, but approaching too closely might expose them. Instead, the two Pathfinders traveled along separate routes, positioning themselves to converge once the destination became known. Earth Command began reviewing every second of Asha's feed. Admiral Brown, Director of Pathfinder Operations, received the alert in Earth's orbital command center. She watched the recordings of the Vexen examining Oba's pod. "Has Commander Yemi requested extraction?" she asked. A communications officer shook his head. "No, Admiral. He has authorized continued observation." "Then we observe." "The other two members of Cell 7 are moving towards the projected destination." "Keep them outside detection range." Admiral Brown looked at the translated words on the display. "Weak, soft-skinned, cannot defend itself." "They've already made assumptions," she said. "Yes, Admiral. Let us hope they are intelligent enough to question them." She turned to the operations desk. "Redirect the Night Watch, full cloak. I want it holding 1 light-year out from wherever that vessel stops." "Confirmed, Admiral." The journey lasted 12 hours. Oba remained physically in stasis, while Asha continued translating the Vexen language. Through the pod's sensors, he listened to conversations outside the containment chamber. The Vexen spoke constantly of war, not as a tragedy, not as a necessity, as a source of honor, wealth, and status. Officers compared the number of prisoners they had taken during previous campaigns. Soldiers joked about worlds they had helped burn. Commanders argued over who should receive ownership of future conquered territories. "They do not distinguish between military conquest and personal enrichment," Asha said. "Cultural or institutional?" "Both." "Any opposing views?" "None detected aboard this vessel." "Keep looking." The Vexen made repeated attempts to access the pod. Their scanners failed to penetrate its core systems. They tested the exterior material with heat, radiation, and focused energy. The pod absorbed or redirected each attempt without revealing its full defensive capacity. Asha recorded every method. "They are becoming frustrated," she said. "They still haven't opened fire." "No." "Then we wait." Eventually, the Vexen warship emerged from hyperspace. 3 stars dominated the surrounding system. Around them moved 12 planets, hundreds of moons, orbital stations, military shipyards, and defense platforms. Warships traveled between the worlds in constant formations. "Their destination has been confirmed," Asher said. "The Tri-Sun system of Darkor." "Home territory?" "Probability exceeds 98%. Asher sent the coordinates to Earth Command and Cell 7. Mara and Kieran adjusted their courses. The Vexen vessel headed towards the 7th planet. As they approached, Asher gathered information from public transmissions. She showed Oba images of cities spanning continents. Black towers rose above factories, prisons, and military compounds, and between them, the statues of Vexen warriors stood upon the broken bodies of other species. Slave laborers moved through the industrial districts under armed guard, and above all of it, warships filled the atmosphere. "This is not merely a military civilization," Asher said. "Its economy, government, and social hierarchy appear structured around conquest." Evidence? Public broadcasts celebrate planetary invasions. Political authority is determined by military achievement. Multiple non-Vexen populations are identified as property. Send everything. The transmission is continuous. The Vexen ship entered orbit. A transport vessel carried Oba's pod down to the planet. Asher monitored their descent. "Commander, we have entered the atmosphere of their apparent capital world. I have raised Pathfinder Alert Level 3. "Agreed." The notification reached Earth Command. "Alert Level 3. Pathfinder personnel transported to hostile indicator capital. Militarized government confirmed. Support cell to hold at system perimeter under cloak." Mara and Kieran reached the outer edge of the Tri-Sun system of Darkor, hours later. Their pods remained cloaked. They did not enter deeper. Alert Level 3 authorized positioning, surveillance, and extraction planning. It did not authorize intervention. Earth Command needed to know whether the Vexen government would return Oba, establish relations, or knowingly violate the first contact warning. Mara opened a secure channel to Kieran. "You seeing the feed?" "Yes." "More than 1,000 conquered worlds if their public broadcasts are accurate. And they boast about it." Mara watched the 7th planet on her tactical display. "Oba will still make them the offer." "I know. That's the part I can't stand. You know me. I'd already be gone." "We know what they are." "We know what they have been," Kieran recited. "He has to find out what they will choose." Mara was silent for a moment. "That sounds like him." "It should. I've heard it often enough." Their pods took separate holding positions beyond the main Vexen defense network. They waited. Oba's pod was transported through the capital beneath an armed escort. Crowds gathered to stare at the unknown creature sleeping behind the transparent panel. Some pointed. Others mocked his size. Children threw objects at the transport platform until soldiers ordered them away. At the center of the city stood the Grand Hall of the Vexen Empire. Thousands of military banners hung from its walls. Weapons taken from conquered civilizations were displayed as trophies. Statues of Vexen rulers lined the approach, each standing above chained alien prisoners. The Pathfinder pod was carried inside. The Grand Hall was immense. At its far end stood a throne carved from the pale bones of different species. The High Lord entered through an opening behind it. He was larger than the other Vexen, with black scales, red eyes, and ceremonial armor marked by countless victories. The assembled commanders lowered their heads. The High Lord approached Oba's pod. He walked around the pod slowly, studying the apparently unconscious human. Then he turned towards Skarn, his first warlord. What kind of species sends a single individual into deep space, carrying a message like this? Skarn examined Oba through the transparent panel. One that has never encountered us, my lord. He moved closer. Our scans show that its body is inferior to ours. Its bones are weak. Its skin is soft. It has no claws, no scales, and no natural weapons. The Warlord looked at the black material covering Oba. The garment regulates its body during sleep, nothing more. He raised one enormous hand. I could break its skull with a single strike. Inside the pod, Asher spoke. They have classified your armor as a stasis garment. Good. The High Lord narrowed his eyes. Are there weapons inside the machine? None that we can detect. However, its technology is unusual. Our scientists have been unable to penetrate its primary systems. Then why was it brought before me? There is another message hidden within the machine, a projected recording. Its power source reads as single use. The High Lord turned towards his guards. Bring them in. Several Vexen scientists entered the Grand Hall, carrying scanning equipment and recording devices. Vexen nobles, commanders, and warlords gathered around the pod. One of the scientists connected a diagnostic instrument to an external port. The instrument itself was slave to the Palace Research Network. Asher immediately detected the link. Commander, the Vexen have established a direct connection. Can you access their systems? Read-only infiltration is possible. Define the limits. I can observe, decrypt, copy, and analyze accessible information. I cannot alter, control, or disable their machinery. Attempting to do so would reveal my presence. Proceed without detection. The Vexen believed they were examining the human pod. They did not realize they had opened a path into their own information network. Asher moved silently through the connected system. She changed nothing. She issued no commands. She left no trace. At first, her access was limited to the Grand Hall network and information available through government archives. She obtained the complete Vexen language database, public historical records, and the identities of those gathered in the chamber. Images passed through Oba's mind. Worlds in chains. Cities burning beneath Vexen warships. Entire populations transported into labor camps. Asher spoke calmly. Preliminary threat assessment complete. The Vexen Empire claims authority over 1,012 inhabited planets. How many retained political independence? None. How many were offered peaceful coexistence? No such agreements appear in the available records. And those that resisted? They were exterminated. Oba remained silent. Probability of peaceful relations? He asked. 3.4%. Not zero. No, Commander. They still receive the offer. Then whatever they choose, we'll know it was their choice. The scientist activated the recording switch. A beam of light erupted from the pod. A human face appeared above it. The man in the projection smiled. We are human, and we offer you our greetings. The Vexen watched in silence. The individual before you is Commander Oba Yemi of Earth Space Command's Pathfinder Division. His mission is to explore unknown regions, establish peaceful contact with intelligent civilizations, and identify uninhabited worlds suitable for future settlement. Images of human cities, orbital stations, and exploration vessels appeared behind him. We seek peaceful relations with other species. We offer trade, shared knowledge, and the exchange of technology. A map of the stars appeared. We have included coordinates through which contact with humanity may be established. All who come in peace will be welcomed. The smile faded from the human's face. If you are unable or unwilling to return our Pathfinder safely, place the pod back into space and allow it to continue its journey. His voice hardened. Do not open the chamber unless you intend to return Commander Yemi alive, unharmed, and in one piece. The grand hall became deathly silent. If you harm him, imprison him, or interfere with his mission, we will consider it an act of aggression. The star map disappeared. The human stared forward, as though he could see those watching him. The pod records everything around it. We will identify your species. We will locate your world. And we will come for our own. The projection flickered. We are a peaceful people. The human smiled again, but there was no warmth in his expression. Until someone offers us war. The message ended. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then the grand hall erupted into laughter. The sound thundered through the chamber. Warlords struck their fists against the walls. Nobles doubled over. Some laughed so hard that they fell to the floor. Asher spoke quietly inside Oba's mind. They fully understood the message. I know. They are laughing. Continue recording. The High Lord wiped moisture from his eye. Can you believe such arrogance? He said. Weak prey sends us a map to its homeworld and expects the Vexen not to come and enslave them. Another wave of laughter filled the hall. Asher spoke. Open discussion of human enslavement recorded. Raise the alert. Pathfinder Alert Level 4 initiated. A message reached Earth Command, Mara and Kieran. Alert Level 4. First content warning understood and mocked. Hostile intent discussed. Support cell authorized to prepare retrieval plan. Execution not yet authorized. Mara studied the information Asher had begun transmitting from the capital. Level 4, she said. Kieran examined the defense grid surrounding the 7th planet. We move in. Under cloak. No intervention. I know the protocol. Their pods left their holding positions at the edge of the Tri-Sun system of Darkor and began the long approach towards the 7th planet. They traveled separately, following different vectors through the system. Asher's continuous intelligence feed mapped Vexen patrol routes, defense platforms, and the changing coverage of long-range sensors. The 3 stars created vast regions of electromagnetic interference throughout the system. Vexen sensors compensated for most of it, but not all. There were gaps. Recommended approach, the polar corridor, Asher said. Concealment probability 94%. Mara studied the patrol rotations instead. Negative. Give me the equatorial gap. Concealment probability is lower. Quiet space gets watched by bored crews. Busy space gets watched by tired ones. Kieran adjusted his vector to follow hers. They did not disable a single sensor. They did not interfere with a single Vexen system. They simply knew where the Vexen were looking, and where they were not. Inside the Grand Hall, the High Lord stepped closer to Oba's pod. Open the machine, he commanded. Let us see whether this human speaks so boldly when standing before me. Skarn did not laugh. He stared at the pod. My lord. The hall grew quieter. In all the known history of our species, we have never encountered a civilization willing to reveal its home world without fear. The High Lord's eyes glowed red. Is that fear I hear in your voice? No, my lord, but something is wrong. Skarn moved closer to the pod. Their message contained no desperation. No attempt to hide. No plea for mercy. He paused. It makes no sense, unless they believe they have nothing to fear from whoever finds them. The High Lord growled. What are you suggesting? Perhaps they are predators too. The laughter stopped. Skarn continued. Predators searching for other predators. His eyes remained fixed on Oba. Perhaps this human was never lost. He lowered his voice. Perhaps he found us. The High Lord turned towards the scientists. Open it! One of them hesitated. My lord, the warning! Open it now! Inside the pod, Oba spoke. Asher, the one who stopped laughing. Designated Skarn, First Warlord. Voice pattern flagged. Keep him in the record. Whatever happens next, I want his face. Reason? Empires change their minds one officer at a time. They are preparing to initiate the awakening sequence. Alert Level 5. Transmitting. Oba said nothing. He was already counting the guards. The notification reached Earth Command and the other members of Cell 7. Alert Level 5. Pathfinder pod to be opened against explicit First Country warning. Support cell authorized to move into immediate retrieval position. Autonomous retrieval will active upon confirmed physical aggression. By then, Mara and Kieran had crossed most of the Tri-Sun system of Darkor. They accelerated towards the 7th planet. They continued to use the sensor data transmitted by Asher to move through gaps in the defense network. Neither Pathfinder fired. Neither interfered with Vexen systems. They moved silently into the atmosphere and approached the capital from separate directions. High above the Grand Hall, their pods converged. Then they stopped. Two invisible craft hovered directly above the building, waiting. Inside the Grand Hall, neither the High Lord nor a single member of the Vexen military knew they were there. The only people who knew were the 3 members of Pathfinder Cell 7, and they were waiting for the Vexen to make their choice. Inside the Grand Hall, Asher continued speaking to Oba. Defensive lockdown remains available. Do not activate it. The probability of physical aggression is extreme. They will receive one final opportunity to choose peace. Understood. Prepare the suit's autonomous threat response. Confirmed. The chamber hissed. Cold vapor rolled across the floor as the transparent covering slowly lifted. Asher restored Oba's body to full consciousness. His heartbeat strengthened. His lungs expanded. Sensation returned to his fingers and legs. The thin black material covering him remained soft and harmless in appearance. Oba opened his eyes. The Vexen believed he was seeing them for the first time. They did not know he had listened to every conversation. He sat upright and studied the chamber. 37 armed guards, 12 commanders, 7 scientists, 4 exits. Every individual had already been identified by Asher. Oba stepped out of the pod. Several guards raised their weapons. He made no threatening movement. My name is Commander Oba Yemi, he said calmly. Pathfinder Division, Earth Space Command. He looked directly at the High Lord. I come in peace. The High Lord's eyes narrowed. Without warning, he moved. His arm cut through the air with inhuman speed, his open hand racing towards Oba's exposed face. Oba did not flinch. The suit detected the attack. Hostile motion detected, Asher said. The black material transformed instantly. The nanomesh hardened across Oba's body. Armor surged upwards from his collar and formed around his head. A dark visor sealed over his face at the exact moment the High Lord's hand arrived. His palm struck the helmet. A sharp crack echoed through the grand hall. The High Lord screamed. He stumbled backwards, clutching his hand. Several fingers had bent unnaturally, and fractures spread beneath his scales. The hall fell silent. Their High Lord had attempted to humiliate the human. Instead, he had injured himself against armor that formed too quickly for the eye to follow. Oba had not moved. He had not raised his hands. He had not attacked. Asher spoke inside his helmet. Confirmed physical aggression against Pathfinder personnel. Her voice remained calm. First contact protection violated. Across the capital, 2 cloaked Pathfinder pods received the automatic command. Retrieval Protocol 7 activated. Recover Commander Oba Yemi. Secure all Pathfinder technology. Avoid unnecessary casualties. Neither Mara nor Kieran asked Earth Command for permission. The decision had already been made by the High Lord's hand. Inside the Grand Hall, Oba looked at the Vexen ruler through his dark visor. "You were warned." Pain and humiliation twisted the High Lord's face into rage. "Kill him!" The guards opened fire. Oba stepped backwards. The Pathfinder pod unfolded behind him. Metallic sections surrounded his armored body, sealing him inside as a shimmering energy shield formed across its surface. Crimson weapons fire struck the barrier and scattered harmlessly. The High Lord stared through the shield, clutching his injured hand. "What have you done?" Oba stood protected inside the pod. "Your decision has been recorded." High above the Grand Hall, 2 invisible human craft moved. Retrieval had begun. Mara and Kieran moved immediately. Lieutenant Mara Voss and Sergeant Kieran Holt released their restraints. Their armor sealed around them. Below, the roof of the Grand Hall filled their tactical displays. Asher highlighted the exact location of Commander Yemi. Mara opened the cell channel. "Mission objective?" "Recover the commander," Kieran answered. "Secondary? Secure all Pathfinder technology. Rules of engagement? Minimum necessary force. Lethal response only if there is no alternative." Confirmed. The lower sections of both pods opened. Mara and Kieran dropped. The pods remained hovering above them. For several seconds, the 2 Pathfinders fell silently through the darkness. Then their armor activated. They accelerated. Inside the Grand Hall, the High Lord was still screaming orders at his guards. "Break that shield!" Crimson weapons fire hammered against Oba's pod. Then, the ceiling exploded. 2 armored figures smashed through the roof. Stone and dust erupted across the Grand Hall. Mara hit the floor first. Kieran landed beside her. The impact cracked the stone beneath their boots. When the dust cleared, 2 more humans were standing beside Commander Oba Yemi. The Grand Hall fell silent. The High Lord stared. 3 humans now stood at the center of his empire. Neither Mara nor Kieran appeared frightened. Neither moved unnecessarily. Their dark armor remained fully sealed. Mara turned towards Oba's pod. "Commander." Oba looked at her through the shield. "Lieutenant." "Time to go." The defensive posture of Oba's pod changed. The shield contracted. Armored sections unfolded. The chamber opened. Oba stepped towards it. The Vexen guards reacted. "Fire!" Mara and Kieran moved together. They placed themselves between Oba and the Vexen. Mara's defensive field expanded. Crimson energy crashed against it. Kieran raised both arms. Compact kinetic emitters extended from his armor. The engagement protocol offered him solutions. Center mass. 37 guards. Success probability, 99%. Hardware only, Kieran said. That profile lowers success probability. Run it anyway. He fired. Not at the Vexen, at their weapons. The first rifle shattered. A second was torn from its owner's hands. A third spun across the floor. Several Vexen charged Mara. She did not retreat. One swung a heavy blade towards her helmet. Mara stepped inside the strike, caught his wrist, and redirected his momentum into the guard beside him. Both crashed to the floor. Another attacked from behind. Her armor detected the movement. She turned, struck his weapon arm, and drove him backwards with a short-range concussion pulse. Every movement served the mission. Create space. Control the threat. Protect the commander. Oba reached his pod. He stepped inside. The chamber sealed. Asher. Commander secured. The Pathfinder pod transformed into its fully active configuration. Its defensive field expanded. Cover them. The pod moved. For the first time, the Vexen saw what a fully activated Pathfinder unit could do. Oba positioned the pod between the Vexen guards and the two members of his cell. Weapons fire struck its shields. It did not move. Mara looked upward. Pods. Far above the shattered roof, two invisible craft responded. They dropped. The air distorted. Two Pathfinder pods decloaked as they descended through the opening Mara and Kieran had created. The High Lord looked up. Destroy them! The Vexen opened fire. Oba moved directly into the firing line. His pod's shield widened. Crimson energy exploded across its surface. Behind him, Mara's pod reached the floor. Its chamber opened. She stepped inside. Sealed. Kieran's arrived seconds later. He entered. Sealed. Cell 7, Oba said. Status. Mara secure. Kieran secure. 3 present. Oba looked towards the High Lord through the transparent section of his pod. The Vexen ruler stood surrounded by guards, staring at the 3 human machines. Oba had offered him peace. The High Lord had answered with slavery. Oba had given him another chance. The High Lord had answered with violence. Now the decision had been made. You were warned. The 3 Pathfinder pods rose. The Vexen fired everything they had. Their weapons struck overlapping human shields. The pods accelerated through the shattered ceiling. They climbed above the Grand Hall, above the palace, above the capital. Vexen interceptors began launching from military bases across the city. Orbital defense systems turned towards them. Oba opened the cell channel. Cell 7. Ready, Mara replied. Ready, Kieran said. Go dark. 3 Pathfinder pods vanished, not into warp, not into hyperspace. They simply disappeared from every Vexen sensor. Below them, the High Lord stared at an empty sky. 2 humans had entered the center of his empire. They had taken back one of their own, and vanished. The Vexen had no idea where they had gone, but the Pathfinders were still there, moving silently through the darkness above them. The High Lord stood beneath the shattered roof of the Grand Hall. His injured hand trembled inside its brace. Find them. No one answered. His eyes burned red. Find them! A Vexen commander approached cautiously. My lord, our sensors detect nothing. They cannot simply disappear. Their craft are no longer visible to any planetary or orbital system. The High Lord turned towards Skarn. Skarn stared into the empty sky. They came into the center of our capital without being detected, he said. The High Lord said nothing. They recovered their commander. Silence. And now we cannot find them. The High Lord's expression hardened. Prepare my planet destroyer. Skarn turned towards him. My lord. This human species has revealed the location of its world. His voice became louder. They believe their warning will frighten us. He looked towards the empty sky where the Pathfinders had vanished. 1,000 warships will gather in the Tri-Sun system of Darkor. Skarn stared at him. My lord, we know nothing of their military strength. We know enough. Their technology has resisted every instrument we possess. 3 exploration craft. 3 exploration craft entered our capital. The High Lord's eyes narrowed. Skarn continued carefully. They penetrated our defenses without being detected. They recovered their commander from inside the Grand Hall. And now every sensor in the system has lost them. The High Lord stepped closer. Is that fear? No, my lord. Then remember your place. He turned towards the assembled commanders. Send word to the fleet. The order moved across the Vexen Empire. 1,000 warships were commanded to converge on the Tri-Sun system of Darkor. Their destination, once mobilization was complete, Earth. High above the capital, the 3 Pathfinder pods remained cloaked. They had not left. Asher monitored the Vexen transmissions. Invasion order confirmed, she told Oba. Destination? Earth. Has it been transmitted to the fleet? Yes. Send confirmation to Earth Command. The transmission remains continuous. Oba opened the cell channel. Mara, Kieran. Here, Mara replied. Here, said Kieran. Rendezvous formation. The 3 invisible pods altered course. Vexen fighters searched the skies beneath them. Orbital platforms scanned the darkness. Nothing detected them. The 3 Pathfinders moved towards the same point above the planet. Their pods approached one another. Closer. Closer. Until there should have been no space left between them. Then the first hull moved. Dark sections unfolded from Oba's pod. Mara's craft rotated alongside it. Kieran's shifted beneath them. Power couplings extended. Armored panels changed position. The 3 units connected. Oba's pod became the central command structure. Mara's expanded into navigation, sensor, and forward shield systems. Kieran's formed engineering, power distribution, and the transwarp core. The connections sealed. The 3 individual pods ceased to exist. In their place was a single Pathfinder expedition vessel. Inside, the separate chambers opened into a shared command deck. Oba moved to the central station. Mara took navigation and tactical awareness. Kieran connected to engineering. Asher integrated with the other 2 pod intelligences. Expedition configuration complete. Shared shields online. Transwarp core synchronizing. Mara studied the tactical display. Still undetected. Kieran checked the power readings. Transwarp core charging. Oba looked down at the Vexen capital. Take us up. The Pathfinder expedition vessel climbed silently away from the 7th planet. It passed through the orbital defense network unseen. Vexen cruisers moved beneath it. Interceptors crossed behind it. None reacted. None knew it was there. Below, the industrial districts of the capital turned through the darkness. Asher resolved the details without being asked. Work gangs changing shift beneath armed towers. 17 species in the chains, none of them Vexen. Commander, classification query. How should the enslaved populations be entered in the mission record? For a moment, no one on the command deck spoke. "Enter them as witnesses," Oba said. They watched 2 humans enter the center of this empire to recover a 3rd. And the mission outcome? Retrieval complete. Casualties none. Oba looked at the display. 1,012 worlds. Log everything else as unfinished. Once clear of the inner defense network, the vessel altered course towards the outer system. Kieran watched the transwarp core. Core at 64%. Mara examined the Vexen fleet movements. Mobilization is accelerating. Asher updated the display. Current confirmed strength, 470 vessels. Projected final strength, approximately 1,000. Destination? Oba asked. Earth remains the declared target. Kieran looked up. Core ready. Mara entered the rendezvous coordinates. Navigation locked.